So what if the UK could kickstart a green industrial revolution worth over £200 billion? I know, it sounds massive, right? But that's the potential we're talking about, laid out in a new white paper from the Bio-Based and Biodegradable Industries Association. And today, we're going to dig into it.
Yeah, take a look at this. This image really gets to the heart of it. It's about a fundamental shift in how we make pretty much everything, moving away from fossil fuels and towards renewable, biological sources. This is the promise of a modern industrial bioeconomy.
And why is this shift so incredibly important? Well, get this. Around 10% of all global greenhouse gas emissions come from the chemicals derived from fossil fuels that are in nearly every single product we touch.
So, the bioeconomy, it really looks like a clear way forward. But what does this new green industrial revolution actually look like in practice? What are we really talking about here?
Okay, so at its core, it's all about this big swap. We're talking about ditching the old carbon from oil and gas and bringing in new biogenic carbon. Essentially, it means using renewable stuff like plants, algae, and even organic waste to create the chemicals and materials we depend on every day.
And listen, this isn't just some pie-in-the-sky idea. The UK already has a pretty solid foundation here. I mean, the sector is buzzing with over 1,200 businesses, most of them small and medium-sized, generating over £12.5 billion a year and supporting more than 20,000 skilled green jobs.
But, and there's always a but, right? There's a major roadblock slowing things down. And you might be surprised to hear what it is. It actually comes down to a fundamental confusion over, well, just words.
Now, this isn't just some boring grammar lesson, I promise. This mix-up has massive, real-world consequences. We're talking about how it messes with government policy, taxes, even consumer trust and investment. So let's clear this up once and for all. Let's break down what these terms actually mean.
All right, first up, bio-based. Think of this as the product's origin story. All it means is that it's made from biological stuff, like plants, instead of fossil fuels. A classic example is a plastic bottle made from sugarcane. But here's the kicker, and this is super important. Just because it's bio-based doesn't mean it's going to biodegrade.
Okay, so then you've got biodegradable. Now, this term is all about the end of a material's life. It's about whether it can be broken down by microbes into natural stuff. And here's where it gets a little tricky. A material can actually be biodegradable even if it's made from fossil fuels. It's all about the end, not the beginning.
So compostable is like a super specific certified version of biodegradable. It means a material will break down, but only under the right conditions in an industrial composting facility, and it won't leave any nasty stuff behind. The liners you use for your food waste bin, that's a perfect example. Their whole job is to help us recycle organic waste the right way.
And finally, we've got natural polymers. Okay, so these are materials like certain starch blends that haven't been messed with chemically. Now, why does this matter? Well, it's a huge deal for regulations. Under some rules, like the EU's big directive on single-use plastics, these materials aren't even classified as plastic, so a whole different set of rules applies to them. You can see how this gets confusing, right?
Okay, so if the opportunity is this massive, and the UK has world-class science, you've got to be asking, why aren't they leading the world on this? And that question, that brings us right to the heart of the problem, this central conflict the report points out.
This quote from the report it says it all, really. The UK is basically stuck in this policy trap that it built for itself. It's throwing money at green innovation with one hand, while crushing it with conflicting regulations with the other.
And just look at this. It really lays the contradiction bare. On the one hand, the UK has these big, ambitious green goals. But when you look at the reality, its own policies are actually punishing the very solutions it needs. You've got higher fees for compostable packaging, a plastic packaging tax that doesn't care if a material is renewable. It's a mess. And here's the thing. While the UK is stuck in this mess, its competitors are not waiting around. They are moving forward, and fast. The EU has made the bioeconomy a central pillar of its Green Deal. In the US, the government is actually required to buy bio-based products. Japan is aiming for a £500 billion market. In the UK, its national strategy was quietly dropped back in 2021. Not a great look.
So the big question is, how does the UK break out of this gridlock it's created for itself? Well, the good news is the report doesn't just complain about the problems. It actually lays out a really clear blueprint for what to do next.
Okay, so the plan they propose has 4 really clear steps. First, get a proper national strategy in place and put a dedicated minister in charge. One person, one plan. Second, Fix the tax system so it actually rewards companies for using renewable materials. Third, come up with one single, clear definition of plastic and use it everywhere, so everyone's on the same page. And finally, and this is a big one, invest in the infrastructure to help these amazing innovative companies actually scale up and get their products to market.
And believe me, the stakes here are incredibly high. This chart just spells it out. If the UK just keeps doing what it's doing, the status quo, the sector is actually predicted to shrink. But with some coordinated government action, and especially with that investment in infrastructure, we could be looking at unlocking almost 19% growth. The difference is just staggering.
And that growth potential? It all adds up to a number that is, well, it's absolutely mind-boggling. This really is the ultimate prize if the UK can get this right.
Yeah, that's right. With the proper policies, the right investment, the report figures the UK's bio-based sector could be generating over 204 billion pounds in revenue every year. It's a true green gold rush.
But here's the catch. This isn't an opportunity that's going to hang around forever. Even government officials themselves are sounding the alarm. As they warn, this window to get ahead, to lead the pack and capture all that value, it's closing, and it's closing fast.
So, when you boil it all down, the choice laid out in this analysis is pretty stark. Is the UK going to finally untangle this policy mess and go after this massive $204 billion opportunity, or is it just going to stand by and watch one of the most important industries of the 21st century slip right through its fingers?